Hey peeps, welcome back. Oh, this is my second try of making my video tonight because Kaylee helped ruin the first one. She's such a loving kitty and she is so sweet, and she really wanted to be up on my desk, and she knocked over my camera and she knocked over the light and she knocked over several other things, and I finally just had to put her out of my office. Apple is in here, but I'm hoping he can keep himself occupied and not follow the same route. So, yeah. Um, Tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about Magick, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the quarantine situation. And, yeah, if you would like, pull up a chair, have a seat. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so now and hit that ringer bell so that you don't miss notifications of new videos. And if you like this video, please give it a like, and we will get started. So, yeah, very brief recap in case you're not sure who I am. I am Yasmine Galenorn. I am a New York Times, USA Today, and Publishers Weekly bestselling author, and I have written over 65 books: urban fantasy, paranormal romance, paranormal mystery, and some nonfiction about magic, witchcraft, tarot, and the like. So, that's just a very brief recap of who I am. You can find my website below if you're interested in checking out any of those books. And, yeah. So, yeah, second latte of the evening. I very seldom anymore let myself have a second one during the day, but today I just needed it. And this is decaf, so I'm being good. I get 1 2-shot caffeinated coffee in the morning, and latte. I don't drink plain coffee. And then once in a while I let myself have decaf latte in the evening. A far cry from my former shadow, my former self. The 8 shots a day, that buzz haunts me. I loved it. But things change, things move on, and you have to adapt with them. And speaking of adapting and adaptation, well, we are in what week of the pandemic now? I don't know. But I live in Kirkland, Washington, which is right off of Seattle. And apparently Kirkland is ground zero for the United States for the COVID-19 pandemic. Yay! Woo! Would have been nice to be trending for a different reason. Most of the deaths here, at least half of them I think, happened in the nursing home where it broke out. And there have been well over, I think, almost 1,200 cases, at least 1,200 cases in the state. And I think we've had, last count, 65 deaths. Which is kind of sobering. We are at the stage where all bars and restaurants are closed, the gyms are closed, salons are closed, no nails this week. So I filed them back so that they don't get weird on me. A lot of the malls are closed. Pretty much a lot of inessential, non-essential shops are closed. Grocery stores are open. Gas stations, of course, things like that. I guess the hospitals are slammed. It's a serious thing, people. If you're not taking it seriously, you should. I have MCAS. I have mast cell activation disorder, or mast cell activation syndrome. I have food allergies. I have asthma. I have type 2 diabetes. I have a number of minor things like that. I have thyroid problems. My husband's a type 1 diabetic. We are an immunocompromised household, so we have to be careful. Hence, I called off our Ostara celebration, which, we were only going to have a few people over, but I'm really limiting the amount of people coming into the house at this point. Andrea comes in, but she's very, very careful, and she's a massage therapist, so she understands the nature of washing hands. And as she told me today, she's so tired of washing her hands feel raw. Well, I think we're all about at that point. If you aren't, you should be. So, other than that, the housekeeper comes in and she's careful. She's very cautious. She knows we have issues and takes care. And other than that, I haven't really seen anybody. I sent Andrea to do the grocery shopping because I usually use Instacart. It's easiest for us. I can't walk into most grocery stores that have delis in them because inevitably they use garlic in the food, and I smell garlic and I go into a reaction. Or if there's bleach been used to clean an aisle, I smell bleach, I go into a reaction. Yeah, it just doesn't. I can probably do it if I have to, but it's not a safe thing for me. And Sam, he can go to the grocery store, but it takes him a while to get around because of his disability. And with the lines there now, that it just isn't practical. So for the past couple years, I've been buying our groceries off of Instacart, and unfortunately, right now, it's almost impossible to get a scheduled time. So I sent Andrea out with a list. She spent like 4 hours shopping the other day just to get through the stores and the lines and try and find what we needed because a lot of the shelves are empty. Yes, I have stocked up a bit simply because there are so many foods I can't eat that I have to make sure I've got enough of the ones I can around. I'm not hoarding. Hoarding is not a good thing. It is being prepared is a good thing. Hoarding is something totally different. It's panic buying. And there are people out there who may need the things you're buying who can't get to them very easily, like some of the elderly people needing, supplies and stuff. So, prepare. Have what you need on hand for a few weeks. Don't do like that jerk did that I read on the news and go buy 17,000 bottles of hand sanitizer and hope to price gouge everybody. And luckily, they came down on him for that. I'm glad. He deserved it. My opinion, I'm very opinionated. Nobody can say that I don't have opinions. And I'm quite willing to tell you most of them. Oh, but so yeah, it's been odd. We drove down to the park yesterday and probably going to go again tomorrow just to get out of the house down to Marymore Park, which is a huge park near here in Redmond. 600 and some acres. And there were a lot of people there, but everybody was minding their space distance. They were being polite, not getting in other people's spaces, having fun with their dogs, having fun with the kids, and, enjoying the fresh air because so many people are off work here. And it's not likely to get a lot better within, the foreseeable next few weeks. I actually expect there to be issues throughout the entire year. I'm hoping it's not as long as some places are foretelling, because that's going to just trounce small businesses. But yeah, so if you are at home self-quarantined, tell me in the comments what you're doing to keep busy. Are you reading? Are you watching TV? Are you having to teach your kids? Make sure you get up and move around enough. We have a home gym, which is very, very good. We bought it this year. We bought it last year. And I'm very grateful we did because the gyms are closed and Sam needs to work out to help manage his blood sugar. And It's not a bad thing for me either, especially weights are easier on me than cardio. So tell me what you're doing in the comments during this quarantine session, and we can commiserate together. I haven't talked about my magic for a long time. I talked a little bit about it last in the assumptions video about how I infuse it into my books, and that's just because everything I do is infused with my magic. Everything I touch, everything I say, everything I think, because I have been in the craft 40 years, over 40 now, and it's a part of my everyday life. I mean, I don't think about it every day, but that's how I view the world. I view the world through the eyes of a priestess. I view the world through the eyes of a witch. I view the world through the eyes of someone who works with magical energy. And before anybody asks, I'll just say I'm also extremely fascinated by science, and I don't see a discrepancy between the two. You know, to me, the evolution of our race, the evolution of the universe, is as magical as anything else, because magic is energy. And all magic is working with energy to affect a change. When you think about something like the butterfly theory, where like a butterfly flapping away on the other side of the world can affect things over here. Yeah, I mean, just your very breath manipulates energy. Walking affects something. Everything is relative. Everything is mutable. The world is constantly changing. The world is not concrete. The world is not set. And that's really actually sometimes a hard concept for someone like me who likes the routine, who likes things set, who likes things concrete, who likes things, secure. But in reality, nothing is secure. Nothing is guaranteed. Everything changes, and everything has to change. If you don't have change, if you don't have transformation, you get stagnation, and that's the last thing you want. We change until the day we die, and then we change and move into another realm. So magic is manipulating energy. It's the change of energy from one form to another. That's alchemy. It's shifting your reality from one path to another by making a choice. Every choice we make changes our future. So everything is mutable. Everything is constantly in motion. To preface what I'm going to say next, I'm not Wiccan. I am a shamanic witch. I work with fairy magic. I work with eclectic magic, which means I don't follow a given path except my own. I work with experiential magic, which means it's not so much book learning as hands-on. I've always done that because when I started in magic, there was very little written about modern magic. So I've always been psychic ever since I was little. Scared the hell out of my stepdad, which was kind of good in a way. Scared the hell out of me because at that time I was still very Christian and not sure where these things were coming from. And also I could sense that our house was haunted, and it was a very nasty set of spirits in there. There were two old women there, and I don't know who they were, but the house was built in 1912, so they could have lived there before. Anyway, that house was creepy as shit. And not only did I have abuse going on because of my stepdad, but I had psychic stuff happening all the time. And I was a scared little kid. And then my mom got into the Jehovah's Witnesses, and she was in there for 1 year and tried to get me in there. I was 12, and I did not want to join the JWs. My opinion, and it's just my opinion, they're a cult. A cult, not occult. Any religion that tears you away from your family, if you don't bring them into the religion, to me is a problem. And so that was very difficult. When Mom decided she didn't want to study with them anymore, she actually asked me to tell the woman she studied with, and the next time she came, that Mom didn't want to continue. Because my mom was not very good at dealing with confrontations. And my mom had a lot of pain in her own background. She was ill-equipped to deal with hurtful people. And she was not someone who felt like she could hurt others. And she hated hurting people's feelings. Okay, so she told me, will you please tell, what's her name? I can't remember her name. It's been so long. That I don't want to study anymore. And I was like, okay. I was 12. No, I was 13 at that point. So the lady came up, and I must admit, I was a very direct little kid. So I opened the door, and I looked at her, and I said, my mom doesn't want to study with you anymore. And then I just slammed the door in her face. She never came back. I figured, well, I told her. But after that, I realized that I needed to find something that made me feel comfortable, because I began to realize that Christianity did not work for me. It was not a religion I was comfortable with. I never could get the answer to the questions I asked, and I asked all sorts of questions. And all I was told was, well, you just have to believe, you just have to accept, well, because it says so. It's like, that doesn't work for me. I need to know why. I need to know why this. I need to know why this is contradictory. I need to know, And I wouldn't stop asking questions, and nobody wanted to answer the questions. So when I was 15, I started college. I skipped high school, and I started college, and I took a philosophy of religion class. The teacher was a pastor. He was a minister. I don't remember of what church, but he was also a very thoughtful man. And I really appreciated the way he taught us, because one thing he said, and it's stuck in my brain even to today, is question your beliefs. If they don't hold up, find something that does. And so I thought for a long time, and I was like, I asked myself, do I really believe in this? Do I believe in the Bible? Do I believe in the Christian God? Do I believe in this being the only path? And I could not answer yes. It was like, no, I don't. I just don't. And so I freed myself from that by going, it's not my path. It is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And it felt entirely liberating. I mean, I was so relieved, because I didn't have to pretend anymore. But I didn't know what I did believe. And so for the next few years, 4 years, I tried all sorts of different things. I looked into Buddhism. I got into the New Age movement, and actually some of that helped a lot. I also got hooked on studying about the men in black and UFOs, because I've seen a couple UFOs, unidentified flying objects. Actually 2 when I was a kid. And to this day, I remember seeing them and going, oh my God, that's not a plane. I can tell that's not a plane. We had planes flying over all the time. So I started studying about the men in black and stuff, and then I got spooked, because they're freaking scary. I'll tell you, there was one point where I realized, and I just had this weird feeling, it's like, I don't want to get very deep into that, because I don't want to be known for being very deep into that. I don't want anybody's attention on me because I've been studying this. So I walked away from it. Yes, I do believe there is life on other planets. I do believe that UFOs exist in terms of flying saucers. Whether they come from another planet or from another dimension, I don't know. But I believe they're other than us, alien. Do I believe they're friendly? I have no idea. Do I want to find out? Not necessarily. So then I went to, I hitchhiked to California, lived with one of my sisters for a while, took care of her kids. One of her daughters she's the daughter that if I ever had a daughter, she would be it. And we are very, very close today, and I love her to pieces. Then I came back, and I decided I wanted to go back to college and finish off my bachelor's degree, because I had my Associate of Arts degree. So I went to Eastern Washington University for a brief time and did not like it at all. And then I went to Evergreen in Olympia. And it was the place for me. It was like, this is home. This is where I need to be. I had lived on the east side of the mountains all my life, and I hated it over there. Eastern Washington is nothing like Western Washington. It is dry, it is hot, it is conservative, it is desert, and all the things I don't like. So I came over here and I was in heaven. And Evergreen's campus was incredibly beautiful. 1,000 acres of just forest and land. And I used to walk for hours around that campus. I'd walk at night, I'd walk at the day. I mean, I used to go all over around there. So I got there in 79 and in September. Come January 1980, I was out walking in the woods, and this story, I've told it in my metaphysical nonfiction. A lot of you probably never heard it. I know some of you may think I'm nuts. That's okay. That's okay. You can think what you want, but it is the truth. I was out walking through the woods at 2 in the morning with a friend. We were not stoned. I tell you, we were not. I got stoned a lot, but that night we were straight. And we're walking along this trail, and the trees here are like the trees in my books, the tall timber, the 100-foot tall firs, and the massive cedars, and the moss dripping off the boughs, and that scent, that smell of rain on the cedars and on the firs after it's rained. It's like nothing else. It's decay, and yet it's vibrant. It's the smell of the forest. It's the smell of primeval wood. So we were walking at 2 in the morning down this trail, and we saw something ahead. And it was bright, very, very bright, like a light bulb almost. And it was 3 feet tall, about 3.5, 4 feet long. And we looked at that, and I looked at her, my friend, and I was like, do you see what I see? She was like, yeah. And I was like, it looks like a unicorn. And she was like, yeah. And I found myself captivated. I was staring at this creature that was supposed to be mythological. And for about 30 seconds, we looked at each other. He looked at me. I looked at it. I saw the horn. It was glowing white. It was beautiful. Then it vanished. Just vanished. Well, I am not someone who just accepts things that I see. I ran over there. I looked for the moon. I found the moon, and it wasn't shining down in that area. I looked through the woods. I couldn't see or hear anybody out there who might have been trying to play a trick on us. And logically, if anybody was out there, they would have had to know that we were going out there and gotten themselves in the woods, and we didn't even know we were going out there ourselves till we decided to just go wander off for a walk. Anyway, I looked, I couldn't find a thing, but I knew what I'd seen. We got home to the dorms, told my best friend about it, and at the time, she was like, yeah, you guys are stoned. Now she believes me. So next day, I wanted to talk about it more. I wanted to talk, so I went to my friend who had been with me, and she did not want to talk about it. She was Catholic. She was extremely superstitious, and she just clammed up. She was like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to mention it. I don't want to remember it. So I let her alone because I knew, as I said in my book, some people are not meant to see unicorns. And so I went back out to the area there, and I looked around, and I couldn't find any other tracks. I found, where we had walked, but there wasn't anything out in the woods. And I decided I have to either accept what I saw or just say it wasn't real. And I couldn't say it wasn't real because I knew what I saw. So yeah, I accepted what I saw. A month later, on Leap Year Day in 1980, I was out walking out under the moon. I think it was one of the super moons because it was huge and shining and just hanging low in the sky. Full moon. At least I think it was a full moon. It looked like a full moon. It was either a full moon or close to it. So I was out there, and I was walking all over campus, and this cat came and followed me. Everywhere I was going, the cat showed up. And I wouldn't see it walking along behind me when I walked from place to place, but it would show up at that place. And it was kind of a mangy cat, but it wanted attention. And I paid it attention. I petted it. Probably shouldn't have because it probably had something, but I still petted it. And I talked to it. And it would show up, and I began to feel like it was guardian. It was either leading me or guarding me. And I was walking all over campus, and it was late at night. It was cold. It was in February, but I had a warm jacket on. I started walking across the soccer field, and there were all the night noises, the traffic I could hear, and I could hear the frogs croaking, and I could hear, just ambient noise. And then everything stopped. Everything fell silent. And I was standing there in the middle of the field, and I looked up at the moon, and I heard a woman's voice echoing in my head, going, "Do you know who I am?" Well, I had not really heard of paganism or witchcraft. I'd heard of witchcraft, but only in terms of TV witches and stuff. I'd not heard, about modern paganism or Wicca or anything like that. But instantly, I was just like, I knew. I was like, you're the goddess. You're the earth goddess. You're the moon goddess. You are the goddess. And she said, you know what you are. And right then, it was like, I'm a witch. I've always been a witch. And I always will be. I just remembered I'm a witch. It was like remembering, waking up to knowledge. And then I heard her say, are you ready to come back to me? And I knew right then everything would shift from then on. I was at a crossroads. I was at one of Fury's crossroads. And my life would change depending on whether I said yes or whether I said no. If I said no, I knew that would be it. This lifetime, it would be gone. the chance would be gone. And if I said yes, I didn't know what would happen. Red pill, blue pill. And I said yes. And then the last thing she said to me was, find your way back. So after that, basically I needed to find my way, find my path. She wasn't going to give it to me on a silver platter. It wasn't going to be just there in front of me. It wasn't going to be easy. And I realized that it was not going to be easy, and it was going to be a lonely path. Especially back then, 1980, there were some people into this, but we didn't have the internet. We didn't have a way of finding each other like this. So basically, I started looking for everything I could about modern magic and modern witches, and I found a few books. Starhawk's Dreaming the Dark. I found Margot Adler's Drawing Down the Moon. And as time went on, I found a few others. And I started practicing on my own. I didn't know what to do, so I made it up as I went. I relied on my instincts. And slowly things began to work. And I would try them, and they would either work or they wouldn't, and something would feel right or it wouldn't, and I'd leave it out if it didn't feel right. And if it did feel right, I'd bring it in. But I kept going. And I felt lonely, I felt alone. And when I was with my ex, I felt almost more alone because while he believed in this stuff kind of, he didn't think he could do any of it, so he wanted me to do everything for him. And that didn't work. That doesn't work. This is a path that you have to walk on your own. So, in 1985, 5 years later, Starhawk, who is one of the mothers of modern paganism, was going to do a workshop up at Evergreen. And I was like, oh wow, so I scrimped and I saved every penny to take that workshop. We were so dirt poor, but man, I put away every penny I could. And I took the workshop, and I did not expect to walk into a room where there were at least about 85 to 100 people there. And I was just like, oh my God, there are people out there besides me. I'm not crazy. I'm not the only person in the world who believes this. And while I didn't make any lasting friendships from there, I came away from that with the feeling of, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. I am doing something that is real. That isn't just me going a little lunatic. I verified my feelings inside. It verified what I felt in my heart and in my gut about the craft. And that was a very important turning point for me. A couple years later, I started hanging out at a local crystal shop, met a few friends, started practicing magic, and I realized that I was kind of more advanced than a lot of people were, and part of it I put down to A, possibly natural talent, but B, I had to do hands-on. I didn't just read books. I didn't find hardly any books. They didn't really start becoming popular till the mid-late 80s. And I realized that I had kind of experientialized myself, so to speak, if that could be a word, into more of an advanced category, and people wanted me to teach them what I was doing because they could tell it worked. They could feel the energy of it. So not at that point, but a few years later, when I was with Sam, I started teaching classes. But in 1990, I found CUPS, the Covenant of the Unitarian Universalist Pagans, which is a pagan side of the Unitarian Universalist Unitarians? Unitarian Universalist. The UUs. Very nice church. If I were to go to a church, it would be that one, because I like their teaching of individuality. But they had a pagan pagan branch. And I got very active in that, and I met a lot of people from there. And I started leading a lot of rituals, and then in 1992, actually no, 1990, I hooked up with my ex-girlfriend, and she and I, our magic really connected. I don't want to say we sung together, we meshed together. And we had some very incredible experiences together. Magical experiences that I will never forget. Very just astonishing things. I was also working with a coven, and also working with cups, and then things kind of fell apart a bit among a few of us. My girlfriend and I separated, and things got very odd because the group we were in, it was almost like they tried not to take sides, but some of them kind of gravitated toward her, some of them gravitated toward me, and we tried not to be that couple, but it was very, very odd. Then I met Sam, and a year or two after I met Sam, I started teaching magic classes. I started teaching classes on witchcraft, and what I had started to teach a 5-week class turned into over a year of meeting once a week and teaching them. And it kind of tired me, and I was doing a lot of professional tarot readings at that time. And reading for the public was kind of exhausting. It gets tiring after a while when you have to deal with so many different energies that you're not used to, that you don't know. So eventually, when I actually started writing the nonfiction books, I stopped doing that. And when we moved up here in 1999, I just pulled back. And I worked more on a solitary basis with just a few friends that I met up here. And I stopped doing professional tarot readings. And then when I sold the fiction, it was like, I can let go of that. I can stop. I didn't want to be a guru. I was fine with being a guide and fine with people loving my work and finding their way through it, but I didn't want to be the person they turn to fix their lives. And a lot of people were writing to me begging me to fix their lives because they'd screwed things up. And I was like, no, you have to do this yourself. That's the whole point of magic. It's not to pay somebody to do a spell for you. It's to learn to do the work yourself. And while most people were wonderful and accepted that and tried to work on their own, there were a number of people who were very demanding and very pushy and very irritated that I would not step in and magically transform their lives. And I couldn't seem to get through to them that that's not what this is about. That's not what my work was about. My magical books were about learning your own path, about using my work as a guideline to develop your own spiritual path. And so I really pulled back from the public at that point because I was getting tired and I was getting frustrated, and I was so happy to be writing fiction again. And it was like, I'm just going to sort of become a recluse for a while and just stick around with my friends and stuff. Oddly enough, now, I've come so far in so many ways, and I've got a lot of different experiences now. And as I said, my path has become very particular and very specific, working with the Dark Fae and working with the gods that I do. But I feel like I'm at a place where I can start talking about it again to the public, to my readers. I feel more secure and grounded. I feel more I'm moving toward the crone stage, you know. It's like I've always felt there are 5 stages, not 3. Not just maiden, mother, crone, but child, maiden, mother, queen, crone. I feel like I'm in the queen stage. The stage where my career is booming, where I am making a success of my life. I'm past the trying to create it, and I'm in the evolving stage. I'm in the stage where it's blossoming out. I'm not in the crone stage yet, so I call myself in the queen stage. And I feel much more capable of setting the boundaries that I couldn't back then. So that's why I'm starting to talk about it again and be open about it again. And, you know, it's like I am not here to teach people, but I'm working on making my books accessible again. My nonfiction is accessible. I'm thinking of pulling together a collection of essays that I wrote over the years and putting that out for the first time. And I'm just more comfortable reclaiming my place in the public with this. And I think partially because at this time, I think we need people who can offer suggestions of comfort and ways to ground yourself in uncertain times, because we live in uncertain times, who can offer ideas and ways to calm yourself. And I feel like I've grown into a space where I can do that more now, so I can talk about it more, because I wasn't very good with boundaries for a long time, and that's because my boundaries were destroyed when I was a child. And I've reclaimed them now. I've been able to set them forth now. So yeah, so I guess I have rambled on for quite a while, but yeah, I am now ready to talk about these things again. And I think there's enough interest that I will start more of a series about talking about magic. I'm not going to tell you how to, but I'll talk about the theory and the concepts behind it, and I'll talk about the different types of magic and what my vision of magic is. It's not going to be necessarily what your vision is. It's not going to be necessarily what so and so is. You know, it's like I've got a number of friends who are pagan authors, like Christopher Penczak and Dorothy Morrison, and you know, Merv Sellers, and Ellen Cannon Reed. I miss her. I miss her greatly. But what I will tell you is my view, and if there's something you can use of it, wonderful. And if it's not, then there are plenty of other teachers and guides. I prefer to call myself a guide rather than a teacher. I'm here to present. I'm here to forge ahead and present the path that I've been on, and if that path appeals to you, then maybe there's something that can help, that you can take from that and create your own. Yeah, so I think that's going to be it for today. I guess, well, one thing I was going to talk about was briefly ways to maintain during the quarantine. This has been a longish video, but if you're still with me, ways to maintain. Now, meditation is one. Meditation doesn't work for everybody, but meditation doesn't have to be the same for everybody. For me, one of the best ways I meditate, if I just want to calm myself and keep myself calm and collected, there is a YouTube channel I've mentioned before I love. His name is Johnny Lawson, and I'll put the link below. And I will turn on one of his videos of running water through the forest, and I'll put it full screen on my computer, and I will sit here with a crystal, and usually with a cat, because they like to come in and join me at that point. And I'll sit here and I'll just close my eyes and let the sound of the water rush over me. and I can feel it. I can feel the water rushing by, and I can feel it cleansing through my aura and calming down the frenetic energy and the panicked energy and oh my gosh, what if this? Oh my gosh, what if that? And that is probably for me one of the most effective meditations. Um, I meditate to music too. I have a hard time meditating in silence. Silence doesn't usually work for me unless it's at Samhain during our Dumb Feast. But I would meditate to music like Hedningarna. It's a Finnish group. Fan, which is a Norwegian group. I'll put some links below to music that I can actually sit with a crystal, close my eyes, and it will take me away. And I don't try to clear my mind. That's not my goal when I meditate. My goal is to calm myself and to free the subconscious to tell me what I need to know. Other ways, take care of your body. That's very important. Your body is your temple. Taking care of yourself physically during times like this is vital for your health and your state of mind. Eat good food. Eat healthy food. Get enough rest. If you need to, take a breather from your work. I haven't done as much work as I usually do this week just because, it's been a bit nerve-wracking and everything. I can feel the jarring nature around everybody that's worried and stuff. So I'm being easy on myself, and to that extent, by the way, I did move the pre-order date for what am I working? Sunbroken. I moved the pre-order date for Sunbroken 2 weeks ahead to, I think, the 27th of April to give myself a little more time, because right now it's a little frantic and I don't want to have to rush the end of it. And I know my readers will understand. So if you can, take a breather, do. Also, helping other people sparks a feeling of joy inside. It makes you feel useful. Check on your neighbors, especially elderly ones or people who are sick. See if they need anything. Call your friends or text them or get on Skype. Don't feel like you have to isolate. There are ways to reach out and to touch people. There are ways to reach out and communicate. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, if you're feeling isolated, mention in the comments, say, tell me. You can take this place as a safe space. And, you can come on my blog and interact on my blog. By the way, I do have forums on my site. I miss forums. I miss people using forums. I like them so much better than Facebook. So you can always, if you register for my site, you are registered for my forums. You can go on there, and if you start posting, we will interact with you. Jen and I will. Pet your cats, pet your dogs. It's proven that interacting with your pets helps lower blood pressure. Watch funny things. Watch inspiring movies and comedic movies, because laughter is healing and comedy is healing, as long as it's not somebody else's total expense. And also, something that inspires you can make you, perk up. I'm going to be doing a watch through of Top Chef. I love Top Chef, as I've said last video. I gave you the rundown of all the chefs that are going to be competing, and every week I'm going to do a little recap of Top Chef. And if you want to come talk about Top Chef with me, please do so. You don't have to be isolated. You don't have to be alone during this time. And it's okay if you're scared. Don't try to pretend you aren't. Because, pretending you aren't something isn't going to make it go away. But it helps to balance it out with whatever you can find that calms you down. And if it involves getting your doctor to give you an antidepressant, if that's what you need Don't feel guilty about asking for it. There is no shame in needing help, whether it be talking to someone, whether it be finding a good therapist, whether it be, through some medication. In our state, whether it be smoking some pot, it's legal here. And I'm sure a lot of people are probably making use of it right now. For me, coffee calms me down. I mean, it buzzes me up, but it makes me feel happy. It actually makes me happier when I drink it. And I'm not sure what that's about, but it makes me feel bubbly. So, I'm going on an hour here, and I'm going to wrap this up. I wish you the very best of this week, and don't feel alone. You're not alone. Everybody's in this together, and if we pull together and we try to make it easier on each other, it'll be much, much more bearable. Join me for my Top Chef recaps. I'll have another video next week. I'm not sure what I'll be talking on, but it'll be something. I can always find something to talk about. And I'm sorry I couldn't give you Kaylee's little clips today, but she literally was knocking my webcam off the monitor, and she was knocking my light over, and she was getting to the point where she was walking on the keyboard and stopping the camera. So unfortunately, Kaylee is not in the video this week, but maybe she will be next week. Have a lovely week, people, and I will talk to you later. And blessed be.